I just picked up the Asus RTX 3060 TUF Gaming, but I gotta say, I don't think it's worth it. Hey, what's going on YouTube? I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the RTX 3060 from Asus. This is their TUF Gaming model. If you haven't checked out one of my latest videos, I said exactly how I've been getting a hold of some of these parts, but I'm gonna let you in on my little secret ahead of time. The Newegg Shuffle is amazing. You just put your name on the list, you click what graphics cards or what CPUs you want, and then they'll draw so many names out of the hat at the end of the day, and you have to buy the card within a certain window. So moving on to the TUF Gaming model I have here. Upon initial unboxing, there isn't much to this other than the Asus manual and a sweet holographic collector's card. The graphics card is really all you get. If you happen to pick up this model, don't forget to take off all the plastic. There's a lot of it. And even these little circles are covered in plastic. And the output bracket with all your HDMI and display ports. The card looks nice. It comes with a metal backplate, and actually all the coverings are metal too. It must be part of the TUF features, and it only has a small RGB panel in the front if you don't like that type of thing. Real quick, I'll talk about the specs on the card. I don't want to get into huge number details, but I'm going to give you the basics. The card has 3,584 CUDA cores. It runs at a 1,780 megahertz boost clock. It has 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory on a 192-bit memory bus. A lot of people are wondering about the 12 gigabytes of VRAM. The 3080 has 10 and the 3070 only has 8, so why give 12 to the 3060? Well, it rolls into the 192-bit memory bus factor. NVIDIA can only do 6 or 12 gig variants on a 192-bit bus. The other cards have higher bus rates than that. AMD's cards, for instance, run on a 256-bit bus, so they can only do 8 or 16 gig variants. That's why they jumped ahead and all their cards run on 16 gigabytes. Now, the MSRP from NVIDIA for this card is supposed to be $329. Well, this card costs $519 USD. I paid a little bit more than that because I bought a motherboard with it, so I actually paid just over $700, including tax. Now, there are 4 variants from a lot of different manufacturers in the $329 price range. So if you're looking for this card specifically, I recommend going for those low-end models because you're gonna be saving $200. Some of those cards that you can look for are the Eagle from Gigabyte, the Ventus from MSI, the Dual from Asus, and the Black Gaming from EVGA. Like I said, those are the only ones I've found that come in at $329. All the rest of them are either $389 or beyond. Like I said, this one's $519, which is really high for this. And you'll see in the benchmarks in a minute here why I'm recommending buying the low-end ones if you're looking for this card specifically. In fact, let's take a look at the benchmarks right now. This is my test bench setup that I had. I kind of started ripping it apart already, but what it is a Ryzen 5 5600X on an MSI B550 Mortar Wi-Fi motherboard. And it's using 2 8 gig sticks of DDR4 3200 megahertz Trident Z RAM. I also have a Corsair H115i Pro 280 mil liquid cooler to cool the CPU. Now, all these tests are ran on a 3-run average just to eliminate any kind of variance between the runs. I did 4 different graphics cards in these tests. I tested the Asus ROG Strix RTX 3070, the Gigabyte Master RTX 3060 Ti, and the Asus RTX 3060 TUF that I just got. And I also threw in the EVGA RTX 2080 Ti XC Gaming. It's a card that I've had since the card came out pretty much, but I wanted to show the difference between the 30 series and a 20 series. I mean, the 2080 Ti was the top of the line 20 series card, and now you can see it's actually just barely competing with the newer mid-tier cards that are out. The chart shows the dark blue is 1080p, the light blue is 1440p. I wanted to show a direct comparison there, but you can see the 3060 TUF got 122.6 FPS average. The 3060 Ti got 144.3. This has the 3060 losing by almost 50 FPS at 1080p, Now the gap closes at 1440p. You've got 123.7 for the 3060 and 154.2 for the 3060 Ti. But it's still a drastic change, and you're not looking at a huge difference in price. I mean, for mine, for my 3060 Ti, I paid $539 for that model, for the Gigabyte model I have, and this was $519. I paid $20 more for like 30 FPS more performance in all these games. Apex Legends and Call of Duty are tough to benchmark because there's no built-in benchmark. So the variance you may see is differences in gameplay depending on where I drop at or the type of interaction that's going on. And that changes from level to level. Moving on to Division 2 here, you can see the 3060 really lags behind in Division. I just think Division 2 is really unoptimized. Is there a game that you're playing right now that you specifically want to see in any more of my future testing? Let me know down in the comments and I'll grab that game and try to throw it into these benchmarks. Call of Duty Warzone was a little weird for me. Like I said, the variance, if you look at the 3060 Ti, it blew the 2080 Ti and the 3070 out of the water here, and it's just because of where I dropped on the map. Don't pay attention to that at 1080p. 1440p kind of paints a better picture of this one because you got 121.1 and then the 2080 Ti jumped up to 128.2 and the 3070 went up to 141.3. Lastly, I looked at Rainbow Six Siege. This is a older game, but it's still consistently played by a lot of heavy fans, and people love high frame rates on this game because competitive shooters, you want that high FPS. Even the 3060 can achieve crazy high numbers. 326.2 FPS is plenty for any monitor out there at 1080p. And if you look at 1440p, it got 239.3. But again, this is so consistent in all my benchmarks here. The 3060 Ti is right up there with the 2080 Ti and the 3070. I want to talk real quick about mining performance for those of you that actually care. I know that mining is really putting a damper on gaming and graphics cards and everything sales right now. It's crazy and it's really upsetting to a lot of people. If you haven't caught Linus's recent video, he did a whole thing about how to mine with your graphics card, and he got a lot of backlash for that. So I'm not getting into any of that. I just want to let you know the 3060's mining performance is cut in half. It should be able to achieve about 48 to 50 mega hash a second. And I ran up you can go on NiceHash's website and do like a quick mining thing. It's real easy to do. So I ran it up just because I'm curious, and it got like 24.5 mega hash. That's what a 1660 gets. So it's not worth it to buy this card to mine if that's what you're planning on doing. So that gets me to my point. I watched a couple other videos of reviewers doing their benchmarks with their 3060s, and they got the base models. They got like the EVGA models or the Gigabyte Eagle model, and their base model cards for $329 USD got the same results that my $500 card did. So I keep harping on this to you. I believe that if you're gonna be willing to spend $500 for a graphics card, just get the 3060 Ti. You're getting a better card overall. Yes, you're getting less VRAM, but it doesn't even matter at these resolutions. At 1080p and 1440p, you're not gonna use this 12 gigs of VRAM. You're gonna be using much less than that. And as you can see in my benchmark charts, the 3060 Ti gets well above what the 3060's frame rates are in both resolutions. To wrap this whole thing up, the RTX 3060 is a great card. I think NVIDIA did a good job, and they're gearing it towards people who are gonna be upgrading from a 1060 or even a 2060 non-super. The performance is substantial above that, especially for the $330 base MSRP. Like I keep saying, I wouldn't recommend you pay $500 for this thing, and definitely don't pay scalper prices. If you can pick up one of those 4 cards that I listed at the beginning, they're your best bet. But it does limit you on your availability, because now you've taken yourself from 10 different choices or 12 different choices of 3060 down to 4. And everyone is gonna wanna pay the lowest price possible for the best performance possible. And like I said, If you're willing to pay the $500 for this card, I would just jump up to a 3060 Ti. You're gonna get way better performance. Most of them have better cooling solutions than the low-end 3060s, and your money is better spent elsewhere. But now I can finally do a build with this thing. I've been wanting to do a build, and I feel like I haven't done any PC builds in a long time, and it just gives me the opportunity to use this in a build now. But don't forget to swing over and follow us on Twitter at Danny's Tech YT for a more in-depth look at DTC. And as I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next video.